Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is John J. Gaming on the mic, coming at you guys with another little preview of what's going on in this final couple weeks of the season here, as things are certainly starting to heat up. So it's going to be a really exciting one. Going to go over the top 25 as well as check out the most recent guys that did end up signing, and then finally take a look at the games that will be played over the course of this next week. It's going to be a good one, so make sure you smash that like button as well as hit subscribe if you do happen to be brand new. Let's go ahead and check out the top 25 for this week, shall we? So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the ACSA top 25, starting with the top teams in the ACSA top 25 poll. For the most part, the top 5 is remaining the same, with Capital Tennessee moving up a couple of spots up to the number 2 spot. But the biggest story here has to be Lake Osago. They jump 5 spots up to number 6 in the nation. The Rocky Mountain Conference team putting themselves in a position the ACSA is saying they could potentially compete for the national championship. They're only a couple spots away from that coveted top 4. It'll be interesting to see how Lake Osago is viewed, particularly if they win out. It's going to cause a very uncomfortable conversation, as Rocky Mountain Conference, as great as Lake Osago is one of the weaker conferences in college football, at least at the ACSA level. So, I mean, does that merit more value than the Iroquois Eagles or the Seattle Cascades that are a couple spots behind them? We'll have to wait and see, but Lake Osago, a great feel-good story for sure. Nobody was talking about them at the national level. They were talking about them maybe winning the conference, maybe competing with Pacific Tech, but this has been a dream season for the Ironmen either way, so congratulations for Lake Osago just for making it this far and representing the group of 5 so well. After that, we have the next tier of ACSA top 25 teams, and conversely, we have Texas Catholic, who actually has the biggest drop of the week. Now, they only fell 1 spot after they lost to Southern New Mexico, which is understandable because Southern New Mexico is a pretty good team, but Texas Catholic, after taking a bad upset loss to an unranked squad, they fall down 6 spots in the top 25 poll. This could effectively end their chances of going to the college football playoff. There's still a lot to play for if you're Texas Catholic, but I mean, it's not looking good for them, though, if I'm saying so myself. Little Rock also jumps down a few spots. Cab A&M drops down 5 spots after taking another loss as well. However, the Amazon Delivery Boys and Alabama Hoover are both on the rise as well. They each jump up 3 spots after they each win their games. Shout out to the Amazon Delivery Boys, as they're showing out for the Big Pacific Conference as well. One of only, I believe, 2 teams from that entire conference that's even ranked. Actually, 3 teams, my bad. So a solid 13 for sure. And Alabama Hoover, they're starting to get back on track. They had a little bit of a bumpy ride in conference play, but things are looking better for Alabama Hoover. And then finally, Sugar Land State, they jump up 3 spots, rightfully so, after a very convincing win over the David Crockett Mavericks in Big Southwest Conference play. Finally, we have the last set of ACSA teams in the top 25, and David Crockett, unsurprisingly, they fell down a few drops after taking a pretty big loss to Sugar Land State. Meanwhile, Southeastern Coast of Florida and Eastern Pennsylvania prove that they belong to stay in the top 25. They jumped in recently, in the previous top 25 poll release back in week 11, and so both of them won their games. Eastern Pennsylvania had a little bit more of a challenge playing against Iowa Tech on the road, but still managed to get the job done as well. Chattanooga Tech, Kent, and Iowa Tech both take pretty big drops themselves. They each drop 5 spots. Herbert Hoover moves up a spot after beating the Kent Colonials on the road in Atlantic Shore Conference play. And finally, we do have a team rejoining the ACSA Top 25. Once again, we do have Detroit State in the ACSA Top 25, coming in ranked number 24 in the nation. Welcome back to the ACSA Top 25, Detroit State Pit Bulls, representing for that Big North Conference. So with the top 25 as well as the ACSA recruiting update now out of the way, let's go ahead and check out not only the games that we'll be playing over these next couple of weeks, But we'll also check out these conference standings as well. Starting with the Big North Conference, this is what the ACSA Big North is looking like. After week 11, it looks like it's coming down to 3 different squads. Iroquois Eagles, Bluffton Tech, and Eastern Pennsylvania, all with a realistic shot. Iroquois and Bluffton Tech, their road is simple. Gotta go ahead, take care of business with their 1 game or 2 game or whatever they have left, and win their games. They win, they are in the Big North Conference Championship. For Eastern Pennsylvania, it gets a little bit dicier. You're looking at trying, not only to win your game, but you're also hoping for either the Iroquois or Bluffton Tech to collapse in order to go ahead and get that 2nd spot. But as of right now, though, it does look like it's most likely that Iroquois and Bluffton Tech will be going to the Big North Conference Championship game, although it is not set in stone yet. Up next, we have the Stars and Stripes Conference, and this is also down to 3 teams. We have a 3-way tie for first place right now, but unfortunately, one of those teams will not be going to the conference championship game. We have Spring Creek, Darden, and Oxford all sitting at 7 and 4 right now. A wins for them could help secure their spot. It seems like the tiebreaker is based on points scored throughout the course of the season, and Spring Creek does have the inside track on that, scoring 248 points. That's more than Darden and Oxford. So, if you're Oxford, you're trying to win your game as well as hoping that Darden and Spring Creek lose, because there's a 22-point gap between you and 2nd place. I wish there was a better tiebreaker for that, but it is what it is right now. It'll be interesting to see who goes in this 3-way tie between Spring Creek, Darden, and Oxford. Over in the Midwest Conference, however, things are hardly set whatsoever. There is 4 teams that are either tied for first place or are just a half game out. Central Tech, University of Wisconsin-Kenosha, and Vermont are currently all tied up with a 6-5 record. But the Kearney College Elks, man, they're sitting in 4th place. They're only a half game out from first. They can definitely make some moves as well, playing 1 less game than the Comets. They, are only 2 points behind. So I'm thinking if the Elks win their next 2 games, they could be the team that goes to the conference championship game. But the only question is, who's going to come out of this group? Central Tech, University of Wisconsin-Kenosha, or the Vermont Vipers? That's going to be a really tough one to call. It's going to be a really interesting race in the Midwest Conference for sure moving forward. Over in the Rocky Mountain Conference, however, it is already set in stone that Lake Osago is going to go ahead and go to the conference championship game at the very least, sitting at number 6 in the country as well, so shout out to them. Although there are 5 teams that have a shot at being that 2nd team that plays the Ironman in the Rocky Mountain Conference Championship. Those 5 teams are Pacific Tech, George Fox Eugene, Alaska, Colorado Tech, and Hawaii State, all which still have a shot at this thing, either being a half game behind or 1 game behind. It's going to be really interesting. One team to definitely watch out for is Alaska. Alaska is one of those teams where the schedule is really weird. They play both Lake Osago and Syracuse State in week 12. So if they somehow win both these games, if Alaska beats Syracuse State and then pull the upset on the Ironmen, not only can they pull the upset and end, Lake Osago's playoff hopes, but it's also going to be a situation where we might see these guys in the Rocky Mountain Conference Championship playing each other again, although that is a tough ask. But Alaska does seem like they have the best chance of being that 2nd team, but they got to win both their games. If they don't win both those games, then they're going to need some help for sure. You're going to need to hope that either Pacific Tech doesn't win or the Bruins lose their final game of the season as well. It's going to be really interesting, man. Things are going to go down, and of course you can't count out Colorado Tech or Hawaii State. They can also make a move themselves depending on what happens. It's going to be a crazy week, man, for sure, and it's some love this kind of chaos to end the regular season. Over in the Big Pacific, we actually already know who these 2 teams are. While Amazon did win, Seattle and Oakland playing each other, and Seattle actually beating them was kind of a worst case scenario. Amazon is now too far behind, I think, to try to make the gap. Their best chance, I guess, at this point, their only route really is, you gotta beat Barrow State and California Calabasas, and then hopefully Anchorage Tech can do the unthinkable and beat Oaksterdam, but that's going to be pretty unlikely. They're only 2-9 right now, so that's going to be a tough ask for sure for the Whalers, well, especially playing the number 3 team in the nation. That's the only way I see it, but it looks like Seattle and Oaksterdam as of right now are going to be playing each other in the Big Pacific Conference Championship game. Meanwhile, in the Super South, it seems like just about everything is set in stone. At least that's what we want to think. Looks like 3 teams still have a shot at this thing of going to the conference championship game. Capital Tennessee looks like a lock. If they win, they will be in. But then after that, things get a little bit dicier. There are a bunch of teams either one game separating each other. Alabama Hoover, Little Rock, Coastal Alabama, Central Georgia A&M, and Southern Alabama State all have realistic chances of being that last team. If you are Coastal Alabama Hoover, though, you're feeling pretty good about yourself. You win, you're basically in. You have been pretty dominant for the most part of this season, with the exception of the 2 losses in ACSA primetime episodes. But if Alabama Hoover wins, they're going to also be in as well. Little Rock, it's a little bit different though. They still have 2 games left to play. So if Capital Tennessee loses their final game of the season and Little Rock can turn around and win their last 2 games, they have a real chance to get into this conversation, go to the conference championship game. Still a lot of football left to be played though, and of course, Mississippi A&M has a very outside shot, but they are not done yet. A game and a half out and have 2 games left to play. Mississippi A&M could also make a run as well. Again, a lot of teams still in it in the Super South Conference. Going to be an insane last couple of weeks here on the ACSA. Going to the little brother of the Super South Conference, we have the Sunshine Conference, and here we actually know who's going to be playing who. The Virginia Christian Saints, they are done for the season. They are finishing 9-3. And Northern Virginia still has 1 game left to play, but they also have clinched a spot into the conference championship game. So it looks like the Northern Virginia Angels and the Virginia Christian Saints will be playing each other in the Sunshine Conference Championship. We'll see what else is going to be happening in the rest of this conference. Just for the sake of standings, a lot of teams fighting. North Virginia State and Virginia Coastal fighting to potentially get to bowl eligibility at 6-6. We'll see if they can get it done and be a representative for the Sunshine Conference, but it's going to be a tough ask for sure. Over in the National Athletic Conference now, we have a 2-way tie for first place, Alfred Tech and the Burlington Vipers, currently sitting at 7-4 right now. Wins will get them to 8-4, but there's plenty of teams though that are still in a position to make a run. We do have teams like Vienna, the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Regals, the Knights of Quinn University, who were ranked at one point but have certainly fallen from grace ever since they got into the top 25. And St. John Jenks as well, they're up in there as well, 6-5 here in this inaugural season. Nobody has clinched a spot just yet, so we're going to need the last 2 weeks to sort this thing out. But still seeing 6 teams compete for those 2 spots this late in this season, that is really exciting to see. I can't wait to see what goes down after that. After that, we have the Atlantic Shore Conference standings as of this week. In the Warwick Rebels, they do have that spot locked down, coming in at 11-0 as number 1 team in the nation as well. There is also some question marks, though, as to who is going to get that final spot. There are 5 teams fighting for the southeastern coast of Florida: Herbert Hoover, Florida Tech, Delaware at Glen Colonials, and University of Mid-Atlantic all have stake in this thing yet. It's going to be a pretty crazy last week as well to see who gets that second spot and challenges the Rebels. But man, again, just love the races that are going on in these various conferences. It's going to be an exciting one to watch. I can't wait for it. Speaking of things that I can't wait for, we got the Big Southwest Conference, and nobody has clinched a spot just yet, but Southern New Mexico does have the easiest path to the conference championship game. They all they have to do is win and they'll be in. But then after that, we got 4 teams, that could get in there as well. Sugar Land State, Texas Catholic, Hayes, and David Crockett, who is a little bit of an outsider. They're 8-3, so they need to win and then hope for some losses from various squads moving forward. Looks like Sugar Land State has the best shot. Looks like, given how their offense has just been so explosive this season, if they win, they'll also be in. But Texas Catholic, Hayes, and David Crockett, all of those schools still have a chance as well to make it to the Big Southwest Conference Championship game. Alright, so now that we got the conference standings out of the way, it is now time to go ahead and take a quick look at what's going on, with the games that will be played here on the channel. With Week 12 having so many teams, in the ACSA playing multiple times over the course of Week 12, which hopefully Maximum Football fixes. I'm not sure. I did let them know what was going on, of course, because I am your boy. I am the man of the people. I want a better game for all of us. But in the meantime, though, with a lot of teams playing twice in Week 12, and then also noticing that there isn't a lot of games going on in Week 13, I'm actually going to combine Week 12 and Week 13 into one episode. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead, take a look at first, the 5 games that will be played here in Week 12. And then also going to go ahead and take a look at some games that will be played in Week 13 to end off this season. Then it's all going to be culminated with a conference championship preview on Saturday. Revealing the teams that do make it to the conference championship game. So with that being said, let's go ahead and check out the games that will be played over the course of Week 12. So starting with tomorrow night, we have the Capital of Tennessee going on the road to play against Coastal Alabama. Capital of Tennessee, they're currently ranked number 2 in the nation. They're in a win-in scenario not only for their conference championship, but that is also going to be the case, for the college football playoff. They're currently sitting at number 2 in the nation, and all they need to do is win out, and they're going to be in. Coastal Alabama, though, has a much tougher road. They are currently 1 game out as of right now. They need some help for sure. They need, Alabama Hoover to lose, and so does Little Rock. And then Coastal Alabama needs to pull this upset as well in order to have a chance to go to the conference championship game. And even then, it might not be enough, thanks to that points tiebreaker that Maximum Football likes to do. So it's going to be a really good matchup for sure. That's going to be dropping at Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern. After that, on the very next night, we actually go over to the Big North Conference. We have the Southfield Dalmatians going on the road to play against the Iowa Institute of Technology. Iowa, they have kind of struggled this season, 6-4, kind of struggled a little bit in these ACSA primetime matchups, and they're barely holding on to the top 25, sitting at number 25, matter of fact. Then Southfield, Southfield is one of these teams that, technically is in it, but they are definitely on the outside looking in. They need a lot of things to happen, but should be still a pretty good top 25 matchup to watch out for this coming week. That's going to be dropping Monday night at 6 p.m. Eastern. So then after those primetime games, over the course of Week 12, those are the only 2 top 25 matchups for this part of the, the week. We will go into, the rest of the top Week 12 games that will be played over the course of, it'll be all on Tuesday. These 3 games will be played. So Syracuse State is going to be playing the Alaska Beluga Whales. Alaska is one of those teams that is competing for that second and final spot. We'll see if they can get the job done, and then hopefully they can get the job done against the Ironmen, ending their playoff hopes and subsequently being able to make it to the conference championship game at the same time. So that's going to be the first game of this Tuesday episode. After that, we'll take a look at the Virginia Coastal Waves. Even though things are set in stone in the Sunshine Conference, Virginia Coastal still has a chance to become bowl eligible. They will play against the Lynchburg A&M Patriots, who have had a pretty tough time this year, going 1-9. This will be the second game of the Tuesday episode. And then finally, for the memes, going to take a look at a couple of teams that haven't really gotten much love over the course of the ACSA season. We're going to see the Raleigh Red Rams, who make their first appearance since non-conference play. They're They're going to play against the Jackson Jackers, who are 1-10 right now, but should be an interesting game to watch out for in the Stars and Stripes Conference. This will be the final game of a triple header that will be dropping at Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Eastern. So after that, we will have the Week 13 games that will be played over the course of the last few days of the season before we get into the conference championship reveals. First and foremost, we do what I'm deciding to do for Week 13 is I'm only going to watch games that are involving top 25 teams, and 5 of them is going to be the case. First game will be Bluffton Tech going on the road against Morehead State. So that'll be the first game of what probably will be dropping on Wednesday. Wednesday or Thursday. I haven't really decided yet. This is still to be determined. These last 5 games will be played between Wednesday and Friday. Another game that will be played is the Little Rock Yellow Jackets. They're sitting at 8-2 right now and number 10 in the nation, playing against Central Georgia A&M. They're currently unranked right now, but if they do jump into the top 25 when we get into Week 13, this will be an ACSA primetime episode. That is still to be determined. Speaking of trying to figure out if it's going to be a primetime game or not, we have Iowa Institute of Tech playing against the Detroit State Pit Bulls. Iowa, they are featured in the Southfield primetime game, but if Iowa loses and falls out of the top 25, then this won't be a primetime game. But if these two teams are still ranked, then it will be. It's just kind of like a wait and see with what's going on. After that, we will have the southeastern coast of Florida Piranhas fighting for an opportunity to go to the Atlantic Shore Conference Championship game. Going to try to go play against Florida Tech. Florida Tech, currently sitting at 7-4. They were ranked in the top 25 at one point, but kind of falling on hard times. And then for the final game of the regular season, we will have the Indian Trail Chiefs go on the road, play against the Herbert Hoover Old Glory. It will be the final regular season game before we get into the conference championships. And with that being said, that will conclude today's ACSA episode. If you're excited about these final 2 weeks of the regular season, do me a favor and please smash that like button, as well as hit subscribe if you do have to be brand new to the channel as well. In the meantime, I hope you guys are all out there having a wonderful day. Take care, everybody.